Welcome to the first annual Pretend Samosa Awards,
Woohoo!
where we don't give out the Oscars, but you do get a nice crispy samosa,
Yummy.
right?
Can't wait. Literally.
And today we're going to rate 3 of the top most grossing films, top most popular films as well, that are everyone's talking about of 2025. So, Upma, do you want to tell us what those movies are?
Sure. So basically, to sum up, the top movies are Saiyara, Chaava, I think it's Chaava, and Dhurandhar.
Dhurandhar.
I have no idea if you pronounced any of them correctly.
I don't either.
What do you think, Benita?
You mean the pronunciation?
Pronunciation.
I think we all have our very unique pronunciations of these movies. I call them Saiyara, Chaava, and Dhurandhar.
I have a feeling you're right.
I think you're probably
I have a
right.
feeling you're
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think I kind of butchered it. I'm sorry about that.
And by the way, you guys, we talked about these being the top most grossing films. Do you guys know the numbers yet?
No, I'm curious though. Do you have that?
Yeah, let me tell you.
Okay.
So we've got Saiyara that grossed about 500 crore. And I looked it up. I was like, what the hell is crore, right?
Yeah.
500 crore is about 55 million-ish.
Okay.
Okay. Chaava was about 800 crore. I don't know how many millions that would
Would it
be.
be
I
like
guess about 80 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
And then
This is just pretend samosa math going
which,
on.
yeah. Girl math, pretend samosa math, all of it combined. And then the other one,
Dhurandhar,
Dhurandhar is 1,000 crore.
Okay.
which is how many millions?
Over
It would
100
be
million at this point.
Okay.
Over
Yeah,
100
okay,
million.
that's
And,
nice.
and
Good
going
business.
up because it's still running in theaters right now.
Yeah, that's fresh.
And-
So
Interesting.
those
It's
are
totally
the,
fresh
Those
right
are the
now.
3 movies. We're gonna review them. We're gonna rate them. We're gonna shred them apart. We're gonna celebrate some parts, and it's gonna be a fun day. By the way, we're all glammed up today, you guys. So if you watch us on YouTube, you can view us. You can also watch us on Spotify. You can watch the video version on Spotify as well. So do listen to us. Do watch us. Do enjoy, because we're gonna have some fun today.
We want to have fun.
We want to have fun.
Absolutely.
And guys, what movie do you guys want to start with?
I vote Saiyara.
Saiyara.
Let's start with Saiyara.
Since it was the lowest grossing of the highest grossing
Sure,
films.
yes. Yeah.
Right?
Makes sense.
What do you guys say? What do you think?
Who do you,
Benita,
you-
what do you think?
What I think about the movie?
Yeah, let's start.
I think Saiyara for me, I watched it. I was waiting for, well, let me tell you what I actually liked about it. What I liked was that the actors, the way they were dressed and stuff, it was very real. It's like most people would dress of that age group. Some of the scenery, some of the locations were really nice. The lighting of the movie was very fresh, and it was easy on eyes. It wasn't such intense scenes to look at. So I liked about that. And then the dialogue delivery and everything was something you could relate to. My critique would be the music is not memorable. I just watched the movie like 2 days ago, and I don't remember any of the music. Nothing left an impression.
It's literally about a singer.
yeah.
Yes,
that's
but exactly that's the
ironic
point.
thing.
And that's what brings to that point that I think the characters were not developed in depth. It was very shallow, and the Alzheimer's disease. I don't want to tell the story and ruin it for the audience necessarily. But the main conflict that was part of the story, it wasn't developed. The pacing of it was too quick. So I think I didn't get to explore the main characters or the conflict they were having with the particular issue in their life. So it became the storyline was very shallow for me. Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it was shallow, Upma?
I hated that movie. I tolerated that movie. It was like torture treatment watching it. Here's my problem with the movie. There's nothing beautiful to look at. The guy, the main lead, apparently, because I right away went in and I was like, whose son are you? Because how are you in a movie? Because you're not nice to look at. And I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying, it's nothing against the guy personally, but you got the main lead on one of the main romantic movies of 2025. Who are you? How'd you get that lead? Because your acting is not that great. He had one expression, okay? Something Pandey, I'm trying to remember. Ahan Pandey, I think.
Pandey.
Okay. Here, and so he is apparently Chunky Pandey's nephew. So it is, again, one of those situations which Bollywood keeps tripping up on this. I don't understand. When you're putting money towards a movie that you're actually making, somebody's putting their money, okay? They want to make money. Why are you doing favors to these movie stars of the past by putting their sons and daughters and nephews and nieces and second cousins? What is happening? What is happening? There was no art in it. I barely tolerated him, okay? I barely tolerated, and he's the main lead. The girl in there, same thing. Same thing. Nothing, no, the acting skills were mediocre. She wasn't anything great to look at. So I have a really interesting story behind this movie. So a few months ago, when this movie was playing in theater, a friend of mine called me and said, hey, I'm going to go see this movie. It's called Saiyara, and it's supposed to be like finally Bollywood. She said, Bollywood is finally giving us a romantic movie, and everyone's watching it, and it's supposed to be a great movie. I couldn't go see it with her, but I bought the tickets anyway to see it near where I live. And I was going to take my daughter and my dad because I'm like, hey, great, it's supposed to be a great movie. Well, it turned out she called me before I went to the movie. She called me and she said, don't do it. Don't go see that movie. I barely tolerated it. She goes, there were so many times I almost walked out of the theater. So don't go see that movie. And I was like, wait a minute, I just bought the tickets. I traded those tickets for Superman. Okay. And we were so happy to see Superman. I did not like this movie. I don't even know how to express how much I disliked that movie. The music too. I mean, I second that. The music sucked.
I had such high hopes for this movie. I have not seen an Indian movie since I left the store in like 2013-ish. And I had high hopes. I had heard so many great things. People passing out in theaters, crying, emotional. Having to call the ambulance to pick up an audience member because they were so sad and overstruck by emotions from watching this movie. I was excited to be watching this movie.
Yeah, who are these
I
people?
heard, so I was like, wow, it's on Netflix and we're doing this, Pretend Samosa episode about the 3 top grossing films. Finally, I'm going to put some effort into watching a movie. 2.5 hours of misery. 2 hours and 30 minutes. I know that because I was looking at the time when I was watching the movie and I was like, oh, I'm half hour in, 2 more hours to go. Oh, I'm an hour in, hour and a half to go. And a half an hour to go. What, I should not be looking at the time. Time should be flying by. And man, this character, okay, we'll get into the actor later. This character, red flag after red flag after red flag. If any girl came up to me and said, I would love to meet a guy like that, how romantic, I would sit her down. I would say, we're going to go see a therapist. We're going to nip this thing in the bud because that guy was just a walking, talking red flag. What kind of guy grabs someone's wrist? Grab her hand. Why are you grabbing her wrist? Why are they showing this over and over again? And here's the thing.
But that's a romantic.
No, it's not romantic.
I'm just saying.
I get it. No, I get it. And here's the thing. For our listeners, for the guys that are listening, I want to have a conversation with you. Dude, this is not how you behave with a girl. You do not grab her wrist. You don't push and pull her everywhere all the time. This character was so narcissistic. Every time he jumped on the top of a car, he's like, मैं सितारों में अपना नाम देखना चाहता हूँ, Krish Kapoor, Krish Kapoor, Krish Kapoor, and you're gonna be along with me for the ride. Ask her what her dreams are. What does she want? Don't you care? So for me, when I watched that movie, that love was not convincing. That romance was not convincing. It did not seem like a romance of equals. It seemed like she was kind of maybe infatuated, intrigued by him.
I think
but she was not in love with him.
Yeah, I think she was struggling with something. Yeah. And that part I picked up on that too. They tried to bring in their stories, their individual stories, like where she, has her own difficulties with relationships. And then he has, other challenges from his life. But it was almost like just a checklist. They checked it. So we know now for a fact, okay, she's struggling, he's struggling. They could have developed it further. So I think that's why I considered it kind of a shallow character development. I didn't get to know the characters well.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. You were talking about the acting. It felt like they just got out of acting class. Barely, especially him.
Online acting school.
They just got out of acting class. They were good in their acting class, but you're not like ready for big time just yet. And he just went from highs to lows. Either he was just quiet or he was screaming at people. And there was no like, can you just be calm? Can you just calm down? Not you. That's how it came across. Like, chill, dude.
I
like
can't calm down if you make me.
He's throwing his dad literally under the bus. He's fighting with his friends, and all the friends are like enabling him with his bad behavior. Everyone's walking on eggshell to appease this guy, and he's just throwing a fit everywhere he goes. This is a toxic character.
Well, I did have to fast forward. Like I watched it by forward,
little
and then
bit.
there's so many scenes. Like as you're watching it going forward, it's like no, they're still talking. When is the scene gonna change? I got the point, but you know how long can you two talk?
You know what I
the
felt
pace was a little bit. A lot of it was off. I think pace had something to do with it as well.
You know what? I was when you were saying that the conflict, the main conflict in the story, where the story is supposed to develop out of, right?
Exactly.
That was introduced so late that I actually thought that they changed the story. That was the impression I got. I'm like, oh, this wasn't where they were going initially. And somehow maybe someone saw some previews of the story and they said, no, we can't. This is too boring. We have to add a conflict. And they added that conflict way too late. And
it was an hour in. I know that because I was watching the clock. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So for the first hour, there was no conflict. If you read a book, for the first half of the book, there's no introduction of the problem.
No
You will
obstacles,
close
no-
the book and you'll be
Yes.
like, I'm done because there's nothing
Nothing's
there,
happening.
right? So even when we're talking to friends, right when we start talking about something interesting. You know, they might talk about something that they're dealing with or a question that they have or conflict at work. That's how life is. So without a conflict, that first hour was like pulling your hair out and just really like
But you know,
counting. Yeah.
it reminded me like for Saiyara, they looked at other movies and they copied bunch of other movies and this mixture wasn't working. For example, first part reminded me of Ashiki, you know, where it's a boy and a girl and they kind of, you know, they're just kind of getting to know each other and singing songs or whatever, right? The second part is where the conflict has happened and now she's at some other location. That reminded me of that movie Jab We Met, where Kareena Kapoor, you know, Geet goes and she's now in that hostel kind of thing, and it completely changes the character. So they tried to squeeze that in as well. And then in the end, it's like, let's just end the film. It just went, all of a sudden, the pace was so fast. I'm like, nobody struggles with conflict that fast. Now you finally introduced it to us. Can we develop the conflict? But they made it, I wish they would have talked to healthcare community. Like, what does actually happen when somebody has some sort of a diagnosis? Like, go to the experts, do some research, and then make the movie. There was no research. It was just like, here's a label. We are going to give her this label. This is her challenge right now. And then she's just going to act like what we think it should be like, rather than discuss.
I do want to
consulting with
mention the
anyone.
name of the female actress. Her name is Aneet Padda.
But yeah.
Just so that we've been talking about the
Right.
male actor, and we should mention the female actor.
She was actually good in certain scenes. I thought she was actually, because some of the stuff that she did, I think, is more. It takes more effort to be more controlled in your emotions rather than just screaming off your head. And for some reason, in a lot of the Desi movies, they think if a character is screaming, that means that that's a great actor. No, I think it's harder to play those like subtle expressions, to show those subtle expressions. And I think one of the most powerful scenes for me in this movie I would say, is when she is receiving the news from the doctor.
Yes,
and
for
she's
me
having
too.
to, she's having to like control her emotions. She's also trying to cover up. She's almost embarrassed and trying to like not show her challenges.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful scene, and she did an amazing job. And it's too bad that her character was so weak that she really didn't get a chance to shine. Like there was no space for her to shine, although it would have been more powerful had they highlighted her a little bit more. She didn't even have any speaking scenes. I think if you like kind of put his script and her script side by side, or the amount of speaking time between the two, she probably spoke like a total of maybe 5 minutes, and he was like maybe, throughout the movie he had these long monologues.
Because the movie essentially was about him. They made it about him. What they didn't realize is the challenge that they gave him, okay? And they're always looking at it from, because the writers are mostly male, they're looking at it from that boy's
Their perspective.
his perspective, like, oh my God, I'm in love with this girl who has this medical challenge, right? Rather than the girl herself, look at her challenge, right? So the main, you could say, star of the movie needed to be the girl. This needed to be her movie. And I think had it come from her point of view, it might have been a better story.
It would have been more convincing.
Yeah.
Honestly, also another issue with this movie was you were talking about like pulling hair. Like literally the hair in this movie was really like messed up. I could literally see
Wait,
the guy's
hair? His hair was bad.
Okay, if they just made him scruffy, it would have been great. And some scenes he was, and it was good. Some scenes you could see like the curling iron, the curls in his hair, and a lot of hairspray in certain scenes.
It was too
much.
structured.
And then also the refinement, or the sort of the continuity from scene to scene. There was a problem there too. There's one scene right from the start where she's still getting over her breakup. Her mom, sort of gets her up, has a talk with her, tells her to, go get this job, or go do this interview. She's in her car. She's depressed. She gets out of the car. She goes into the office where she's being interviewed. All of a sudden, her hair is perfect. It was so noticeably different.
So you noticed from scene to scene, there was lack of continuity.
And if she's going to her job interview, why is she wearing jeans and a kurta?
Right,
What the
right,
hell?
right.
No,
Like
but
she's going
that's
for her
true.
But
first
that is
internship.
that might be
interview.
a thing like there in the.
I can't imagine. Like kurta and jeans, even in India, would be casual. Like that's when you already got the job, and now you're going every day.
Some parts were not believable for me. For example, so some parts like where she, parents go, maybe you need to go somewhere out of this local city, and then all of a sudden, she goes with this guy, and they send her off to go wherever, and for like a fresh air or whatever. Like they're gone for like months. It seemed like there was no clear timeline that was visible in the story. I couldn't quite tell how long they were there. But anyway, they went for long. Which parents are just going to tell their daughter who just got a horrible diagnosis, okay, now you can go with this guy we just met
Random guy.
for months at a time. Okay, bye. Like that was not believable for me. Like, why would you? Who does that?
And what was not believable for me, thank you for bringing that up, is she disappears. What about her parents?
Yes.
Like she didn't think about them. All she cared about was him.
Or did they try looking for her, or did they just finally
they
give
were
up?
miserable. They were miserable looking for her. They're a crying mess. Obviously, she any child would know that their parents would be searching for them. Why would you put your parents through something like this? She could have had a talk with her parents and say, "Hey, I'm gonna disappear. I don't want to affect this guy's life, so I'm gonna disappear. But me and you I exist. That I'm not disappearing off the face of the earth." It just didn't make sense
But
to
when
me.
he does find her, why didn't he call her parents? Like
I thought he did.
No, they just parents are
Like, who
only
cares?
shown as convenient for the story.
Window dressing.
It's just
Yeah.
window dressing, and they show them like, okay, this Punjabi family, and because they throw the word puttar in there, all of a
yeah.
sudden you're just Punjabi.
Oh, the Punjabi
Every
that
2
they
minutes.
spoke.
Puttar. It's like that doesn't make you Punjabi. Just
Saying puttar.
yeah.
That's the reason. That's the reason I said that I think the story shifted. I think the story was supposed to be initially supposed to be like this well-to-do kind of settled family girl.
In
And
Delhi, I
this
think. Yeah.
and the boy was supposed to be like this alcoholic son, and that was supposed to be the conflict. I really think that's what happened. And then they were like, oh, wait a minute. Kind of like Ashiki, kind of like, I'm thinking of, like, really, your run-of-the-mill 1970s, 80s love stories were like that. And that formula actually works. And might have turned out to be a better story if they really developed that. But instead, they went with this quick
shift.
creating problem, kind of like Akhiyon Ke Jaron Ko Se, or like American Story, Love Story. Those kind of movies with
There's an old movie, Beju Bavra.
Yeah.
And in Beju Bavra, I don't know what his real
Beju,
name is.
his name is
Okay,
Beju.
so Beju's
Baju Baba.
They call him
Beju's
Beju.
guru
Yeah.
tells him, hey, your voice has lost passion in it. It's not emotional anymore. There's no sadness. There's no feeling in it. You're too happy. And his girlfriend hears it and she says, oh, it's because of me, because I'm in his life and he's happy. And so she runs off into the jungle and she's running and running. And all of a sudden she comes across this tree and there's this powerful scene where she looks up at the tree and there's a snake.
Yeah.
And this is a black and white
remember
movie.
watching it,
There's a black and white movie. There's like a close up of the snake and you can see the little whiskers and everything standing up. It's a very poisonous snake. You get a sense of that.
Snakes and whiskers.
and in the scene, she just raises her arm, her hand slowly towards the snake
To die.
so that if
Yeah, she
she's
could get
dead,
bitten.
he will be sad. There would be, emotion in his voice again. Well, here's the thing. Even though, yes, that's a silly thing for somebody to do, it was convincing that
Yeah,
that
it
character would
was.
do that she would be silly enough to do something like this.
Well, it's not silly.
this-
It's like really deep, actually.
But in this movie, it wasn't convincing that she would run off. It just didn't make sense. I wasn't convinced that she's so passionately willing to sacrifice everything to run off for his music career.
I don't even know if she ran off for his music. That wasn't even clarified.
That wasn't clear. I was trying to put two and two together going, is it for him or is it not? Is she something else happening? Is she crazy enough? Because now she has this, a mental kind of illness that she's become kind of aloof to it and she's really actually just run off, right? It was very confusing, the story. But there was nothing to hold on to. That's my problem. I'm saying, okay, if the story is bad, give me good fashion. Give me beautiful
good music.
people.
Music.
Music.
Like Ashiki was very simple story, but
Yeah.
the music
Carried
has
you
lasted
through.
through
Yeah.
years. You know what
was
other movie
nothing.
it reminds me of? There was a third, when I said mixture of movies, there was a third one, and that was Hum Aapke Hain Kaun. You know how at least that movie had good music.
Yeah, it was
There
just simple story.
But the story reminds me a little bit of that, where it's just going. Like, what exactly is
Where's the
happening?
conflict?
Where is it going?
And I
Yeah.
know when I watched that movie, I had fallen asleep in the theater because I couldn't take it anymore. I just fell asleep. Hum Aapke Hain Kaun, because the story just wasn't happening. And to me, this movie sits kind of that way.
But
I don't
Hum
want to
Aapke-
rate it right now, but it sits somewhere that way.
But Hum Aapke Hain Kaun had so many other things to hold on
There's
to for
still
you to.
entertainment.
You're
Yeah,
like,
there's
oh, look
still
at
a lot of
Madhuri.
At least there was Salman Khan and Madhuri
Madhuri
Dixit that
Dixit.
you could and be entertained by.
And songs and dancing and outfits and other things. This had zero. I was looking for anything like the girl herself too. Her like kind of hairstyle, which was just kind of. I don't know what it was. It was just curled. I think they went crazy with the curling
Well,
iron.
I think they made the characters very boring. That was
Yeah,
it.
even her
That was-
expressions. I know you said that she was a good actress. She probably was. She's probably better than
in
an
those
average.
scenes, in
The
those
director
couple of
didn't
scenes,
do a
not
good
all,
job.
not all the
Yeah.
scenes.
Her expressions were so icy and kind of one-dimensional. There was nothing in her expressions where I found it interesting and being like if you say show me a sad person whose boyfriend or fiance ran off with somebody else, and you'll be like, okay, sad person, and you're like 6 months later, show me that same person. It's still a sad person because she's so sad. Wait a minute. You show me a person who's had the worst thing happen to them, okay? And you show it to me. You show a glimpse of their day. After that horrible day, there will still be a smile because they saw a little child smiling, okay? People are amazing. We have the ability to find beauty and happiness Even in the worst situations, in war zones, you'll see mothers laughing at their little babies, And this girl, she's sad. She's very depressed, and she's going to the job interview.
But I
Are you
think I
kidding
have
me?
But I say everybody handles
have-
sadness differently.
No,
I
but
don't
but
like
have
it.
a-
I
no,
don't- it
the
wasn't a
reason-
believable
The
character,
reason
I'm
it's
sorry.
not believable is
Yeah.
because in most Indian movies, or I should say Bollywood movies,
Yeah.
when they want to show a sad character, it's usually a female,
Mm-hmm.
and then they make that person sad 24/7.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, their life is now just sad. They are, if they laugh, all of a sudden they may not seem deep enough or serious enough about their sadness. So we have to make sure they're serious about their sadness. So they're going to just be sad 24/7.
And you'll see that with the comment section. Like if you see, recently there was a video of somebody passing away. I think it was like Dharminder or something. And then somebody was coming out of that prayer meeting.
Yeah.
It was one of the actresses. I think it was Shilpa Shetty or something, walking out of the home. And she was talking to someone. And while she was talking, she kind of like smiled. And you should see the number of comments that were like, "Ye to bahut khush lag rahi hai. Ye smile kar rahi." Somebody can't smile anymore. So they think a person who's sad is supposed to have a frown or like a upside down kind of a smile on their face the whole time. This person cannot. Again, it's like that simplicity or simplistic thinking.
But they don't allow showing grief in multiple ways. There's only one way to show grief, and that is your face must frown. And
Yeah,
that's
and
it.
whereas-
But I think that what's funny is that, okay, if first of all, I personally think sadness can be in different ways, and however the director wants to show it, that's fine. But here's the thing. If she's so deep in sadness, the only thing that's like light at the end of the tunnel is seeing this guy on a motorcycle smoking. Like what? Like that's
What
the thing
was
that
that
kind of
all
like
about?
is a trigger that changes her. So there are a lot of like these wishful thinking type of scenes in this movie, and that's what I didn't appreciate. But moving on to the next film, Chaava, which was the second biggest grossing film. And this is on Netflix for our listeners who are listening today. If you guys want to watch this movie, Saiyara and Chaava, both are on Netflix. What did you guys think about Chaava?
Okay. I'll go first on this one. So I really wanted to like this movie. Why? Because I've seen Vicky Kaushal online and I've seen him on Instagram. He seems like such a funny guy. He seems like such a magnetic personality. He seems to have a really magnetic personality, and I've never seen a movie of his. So I was actually looking forward to it because I'm like, yay, I get to watch Vicky Kaushal movie and I want to see how he acts. So, and I'm really very sorry to say I did not like Chaava at all. I did not like it at all. And the reason I didn't like it is because it reminded me of kind of like those mythological plays that India has a lot of, because they made him seem, the character of Chaava, which is Shivaji Maharaj's son, Sambhaji. And the character, they almost made him into a mythological perfect specimen of a human
like
being.
a superhuman.
Superhuman, almost like a super person, Superman type of character, superhero type of character. And the movie from the beginning was action after action after action. And the problem I have with those actions were they were very AI robotic seeming to me. I did not like, I can appreciate a good action scene, but I did not like those action scenes because they seemed very perfect. Somebody gets hit and then right away they're up and they're, there's no blood, there's nothing. It's something that you would see in a video game. They reminded me of video games. And another problem that I have is in the whole movie, there were no female characters. And I've kind of had it with Bollywood and Hollywood, basically eliminating 50% of the population in their storytelling, where are the females in this movie? There were one or two characters, his wife and then his stepmother that were there. And those characters barely had speaking roles. So I did have a problem with that. I did not, Akshay Khanna as Aurangzeb, he did a good job. He's a good actor. You couldn't even tell it was him, which I really liked. His acting was great. Vicky Kaushal's acting was great too. I had problem with lot of the action scenes and the direction of the movie. And the movie is basically action-oriented movie. So and how I tell if a movie is good or not is basically, do I enjoy watching it? I didn't enjoy watching it. I was tolerating it. If you're tolerating what is supposed to be entertainment and you're paying money for it, that's sad. And I'm surprised that this movie did really well. Apparently, it was very popular.
I take it you didn't like the movie.
I didn't.
Wow. What about you, Benita? What'd you think?
I did not like the movie. Chaava was not a movie. It was a video game.
That's
that
what
was
I felt
playing.
too. Yeah.
And video game that's definitely not for all ages because it was extremely violent. And again, the characters, if you're just going to show them one-dimensionally, like this person is always just going to war. This person is just superhuman. He's just always going and fighting. And then the other guy, Aurangzeb, yes, he was a horrible, terrible person. But you also have to show, like, was there something that did he have wishes? Did he have some desires? What was he standing for? Like, these characters are not developed completely. And the part also is that the emotions were so overemphasized. So the entire movie was based on this one emotion that he's standing up for his people. Everything else, so it was too much about that and not enough credibility, because if this is a real person from history, then let's build some credibility around his character too. So this became more of like a biased lens for me because they're just trying to show this person as a superhuman, and I didn't actually learn about the person, And again, Aurangzeb also, he was shown as this evil person, but I didn't get to learn about Aurangzeb either. So if it's a historical fiction, then you've got to build some credibility for the historical fiction genre also. It was heavily just biased, which we can call emotional advocacy, and not enough expertise.
There was no research done.
There was no research done to fully do justice to that character. What was going on around Shivaji at that time? There were other parts around that region. What was happening around that? Who else was shaping what was happening? So the storyline was not fully developed so that's why, maybe that's why they heavily just depended on the action. And that was it.
I agree. They did such a disservice to this real life, historical figure who, when I was watching the movie, I couldn't even pick up the name. I had to ask a friend of mine who's Maharashtrian. I said, well, do you know about this movie? And do you know who they're talking about? And she gave me the name. And I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to go look him up and see what I was watching. So the director, who's Lakshman Uttekar, I think is his name, he's Maharashtrian. Supposedly, he based this on a book that he read, also called Chaava. He did 4 years of research. Come on.
Where was
After
that
4 years of research, all you did was give us the CGI special and really bad CGI, not convincing. The guy is flying through the air. I mean, who does that anymore? There's a scene in there. It's a war scene. Everybody puts their shields together and kneels down. And Chaava, Sambhaji Maharaj, this character, Sambhaji Maharaj, he runs up, walks on these shields, and somehow he makes it to the second floor. And he's flying, like his legs are like cycling in the air, and he ends up on the second floor. Then somehow he ends up with a lion, and he's fighting a lion, which was so mediocre looking. This was like the weakest looking
AI.
Exactly. And really bad AI.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. India, that's where they do a lot of the special effects and preparation for even Hollywood films. I know they could have gotten it right, but this was just such a bizarre overuse of CGI. The whole movie was, you said there wasn't a female character. They did try, because in actuality, I read up on this, his wife, this particular wife, he had multiple wives, of course. This particular wife, she was kind of a leader. She was in a leadership position as well. She was an advisor as well. They tried to kind of show that, but this is what the movie was. It felt like it had this sort of, he would go have a conversation with his wife, then he would go to battle. He would have a conversation with his wife. Yeah, and they would go to battle. It was a wife wife battle, and that's all that kept
whole
happening. And one of the most bizarre things, I know you were probably fast forwarding through the movie, you might have missed it. The most bizarre thing that happened, she says to him, she turns to him and she says, I hope, like, मैं प्रार्थना करती हूँ मैं अगले जन्म में मैं अगले जन्म में तुम मेरी cook से जन्म लो, so I can give you like a mother's
Okay,
love.
I missed that. I must have forwarded that.
saw
It's so
that.
bizarre. It was so bizarre. Who wrote that?
I actually backed and listened to
Yeah,
it
you're
again because
like,
I thought I
did I hear that
misheard it. I'm like,
That's
did I-
creepy.
that is so weird to say to your husband or
That's
your
creepy.
like love interest that I would like you to be my son in the next life.
Why
And
not husband again?
I actually started
No, he said I didn't have mom's
Mother's
love.
love.
So she's like,
Oh, I'll be
okay.
your
because
mom.
she's the only one in the world who can give him mom's love. Like no other soul out there for the future Janam could, like every other mother can give mom's love, right? So it was just very bizarre to me. And I actually started calculating in my mind. I'm like, what does she mean? Is she thinking that when he dies, she's going to remarry and then he's going to...
How is she gonna get pregnant again?
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. That is
I
really
started thinking
bizarre.
the
Okay.
weirdest things. I was like, is she already planning for him to die so then he can be reborn and she's going to remarry and then he's going to be her son? That's where my mind went. It was weird.
Another bizarre thing about this, well, not bizarre, but disappointing thing about this is Vicky Kaushal, right? He's a good actor. I haven't seen a lot of movies, but I did see Donkey, whatever it's called. And he was good in that movie. And I had high expectations that I was going to watch some hero, right? Like not just an actor, but a hero.
Yeah.
He had no like
Charisma.
presence.
No, he
and
did not.
charisma.
I agree with you.
No, like regalness. Like remember when you watched that movie with Shreya Rai and Hrithik Roshan?
Jodha Akbar.
Jodha Akbar.
I thought about that too as I was watching. I'm like, Jodha Akbar, Hrithik Roshan looked the
like
part.
a
And
emperor.
Aishwarya Rai looked the part. Vicky Kaushal did not look the part.
And I don't think it's his fault. I really think the director just he just was not good.
No.
I'm sorry. He just was not good. He had an idea in his head. He could not make it. He could not convey it to the audience, and that's the thing. It was such a sloppy movie to
sloppy,
watch,
and
and
then-
I did fast forward.
Yeah.
I fast forwarded half of the film.
But I think also, it also made me think, you know, that shields and then he jumps up and goes and launches into the air. I was like, why do they think the audience will like this or why do they need to do this? Well, if you think about that movie, RRR, it was nominated for Oscars and it was like everybody watched it. That was previous years. That's what that movie had. It was mythologically superhumans, and it was independence, fight for, you know, freedom fight. But they were doing these kinds of superhuman kind of things. And that went for Oscars. So now all the other directors and everybody's probably trying to do similar things so their movie can also be acknowledged.
This is the disappointing thing when you have there's a responsibility that you have when you're doing a biopic. When you read up on Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj, which a friend of mine also told me his story, then I was like, okay, now I'm intrigued. Let me go read up on him. He was considered to be a very strong man. He was a warrior. He was. They also say he was a womanizer, but he was a warrior, and he was tortured to death, and he did suffer a lot before he died. And you don't need to have special effects for that. They shown him as the actual, doing the actual brave work of fighting, being a warrior, getting hit, maybe falling, maybe getting hurt, that would have probably accentuated his courage in that character more rather than like doing the CGI stuff and running through air and
Well,
trying
I
to
was
land
also
on the
reading
second floor.
that Sambhaji was not tortured to death.
Oh, I thought
So-
it was.
No, I was reading that it's not, the reality wasn't that. But in the movie, they showed that.
I thought it was.
But in
actually. I think
reality,
that's
they do say it.
controversial then.
And here's the
No,
thing.
that maybe there's now multiple views on that too.
History, the unfortunate part of history is it depends on who's reading it, and you have to read like 10
who's
different
writing it.
sources. Read up like 10 different sources, the popular one and the least popular ones too, to get an idea. Some people even say like he really wasn't a womanizer. That was just something that was created to weaken his character,
Is
his
that
effect on
Sambhaji or
the
Shivaji?
Maratha, the Sambhaji.
Sambhaji.
You know what?
Did I just say Simbaji?
I mispronounced
I think I said
it
that.
too.
That
I'm
was
sorry.
my mispronunciation. Sorry.
So I think what I have a problem with is when they show miraculous things, and I called AI showing all these things in AI, creating kind of miraculous things in a story to show, hey, he wasn't like us bare humans. He was something extraordinary because he could climb, he could fly, he could climb, he could go to war and come back like without any wounds. It actually diminishes the real person and the real heroic things that this historic figure probably did, because he is a known figure. So he's obviously looked up upon by younger people. You know, he's part of the history of Indian history. So what we're doing is by creating these, I'm going to call it cartoonish, for lack of better word, cartoonish figures, we are taking away from the reality of human suffering that a lot of these heroic people from history had to tolerate in order to stand up for what they stood up for. Okay. So forget about, what is real, what's not, but let's talk about the reality of like what is it that these movies are doing? They're literally taking these figures and they're slowly making them into cartoon characters.
But they
in
do
my
that
opinion.
but they do that with the other people too. I think that's just a Indian psyche that the great people have to be these superhuman people. I heard somebody saying, "Oh, so and so, some other, they were their leader of their group. So and so had heart surgery and didn't have anesthesia at all." And they said they felt no pain. I'm like,
Yeah,
no
right.
doctor in the world is
Will
going to
do
perform
heart.
that surgery, first of all, without anesthesia. Plus, they have to make the heart stop for a little bit so they can perform the surgery. Like, are you kidding me? But people believe it, so they follow this rhetoric. They believe it. So no wonder we see that same mindset reflected in the movie. I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah.
That they want to see their heroes as superhumans.
Yeah. Lastly, I had an issue with, when you're going to present history, don't make sure that you research things correctly. So if you're saying this is the only person that ever stood up
Exactly.
to Aurangzeb,
That was my-
that is wrong. That is not true.
Yeah.
You can read up on all the Sikh history out there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that maybe
Not
there
true.
are other parts where people stood up. It's nice to know, because I didn't know who Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj was. It's nice to learn about him, that there was resistance from various sides. But you can't say this is the only person that ever. You don't have to hard sell him. That's the thing. Like, it's
Again,
unnecessary.
It's the same problem. It's trying to make him into something more than what he is, to convince people that somehow he was special. He was special for what he did. Tell us the truth. If somebody is suffered through something, his whole family suffered, his people suffered, he was tortured. That's enough. I don't need to know that he jumped the wall and have fought with the tiger. I don't need him to fight with the lion. Sorry, I meant to say lion, even though it was AI. I don't need to see that scene to believe that he was something special. The fact that he stood up to power and he stood up for something, his people, that's enough. It's interesting when you go back to some of the movies of the past that I really liked. If I talk about Lagan, for example, we're talking about a very normal guy. They didn't show him to be something extraordinary. He was struggling. He didn't know which girl he liked. He was confused. He was learning how to play cricket, but he was a hero of the movie. You don't have to make a hero of the movie some super AI superhero. Unless it is a superhero movie, then show us
you're
Spider-Man.
watching
Just make a superhero
sci-fi.
movie.
Yeah, then
But
make
see,
it
a superhero
Yeah,
movie.
unless you want to make it sci-fi, for example. Like,
Yeah,
this is
then
what
make
can
whatever,
happen.
yeah.
But if you're claiming that you're doing a biopic about somebody, then no, then this is not it. You didn't meet the criteria of that genre then, you know?
Absolutely. I think I did not. I mean, to say the least, this movie was barely tolerable. Barely.
Yeah.
Barely.
I fast forwarded the thing. I don't know if it had any songs in it, anything
I don't remember the
entertaining. I
music.
don't remember.
There was nothing.
So there was
apparently-
music, A.R. Rahman, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But
A.R.
it
Rahman.
is-
I had to look it up. I was like, am I hearing
But I
A.R.
didn't
Rahman?
hear
This
any.
music is so bad.
It wasn't that the music wasn't memorable. The music was misaligned with the movie because the music seemed very futuristic and the movie is talking about the past. So it didn't work. It didn't convey the message that it wanted to convey. It seemed like A.R. Rahman already had a track and he's like, okay, here. And they're like, oh, okay, well, we'll just play it here. And it seemed very misaligned. But I want to be very clear on this because I understand this is a historical figure, beloved by all. What we are saying has nothing to do with the figure itself. We're talking about the movie that they made about the figure. In fact, they did a disservice to
the
this
actual figure.
I think that's very important to point out.
To Kavita's point, where they're showing like he is the end all of everything that dealt with Aurangzeb, for example, you know. That was my point when I was saying they didn't show what else was going on around
there.
that figure at that time. So contemporaneously, where are we? Are we in the year 1200? Are we in the year 13? Who else was there? Show that, you know. And actually today I was listening that Guru Gobind Singh Ji went to South partly to also help the Marathas because he knew they were struggling, to help their people.
Yeah.
And so
Now it makes sense to me.
Now it makes sense.
And this is Chhatrapati Sambhaji Maharaj. I'm going to say his full name so that everybody knows who we're talking about. He was. This is around 1680, 16. I think
16, beginning of 17.
Right at the end of, and I think he was executed around 1680. 1670s and so on is during this time when Shivaji Maharaj and his son were around. And going back to Aurangzeb, Akshay Khanna, okay, just Akshay Khanna's acting. We know he's a good actor. We know that. And he tried to bring a little personality into that character too. However, all that prosthetics, all that makeup it seemed like he couldn't move his face. Like he wanted to be more expressive. He wanted to bring more
Because he's
personality.
very expressive. We know that.
And the subtle expressions that
His
he had,
subtle
he's
expressions
very
are
good.
really good, yeah.
But he couldn't do it because the prosthetics were keeping him from being able to move his face. And so even then he tried to bring some personality by, like, you know, the way he ate his grapes and, you know, he's sitting down on a couch with the, you know, his legs spread, whatever it was, he was entertaining to watch still.
But he didn't look regal either.
Yes.
He looked like some middle-class person who just dressed up in a nice outfit that
Like
looks
a stage actor, like you're seeing a
It's like
stage.
I'm watching a stage play, exactly.
Yeah, like a cheap stage play at that, not something.
I didn't realize it was him until like he took off his crown. That's when I was like, oh, that's Akshay Khanna in the movie. Like, it took me a minute to realize it.
I mean, that's a credit to him that he did.
He blended into the character.
No, it was because it just like in the beginning, there was no like I didn't even know that was Aurangzeb. Like
He
I
actually
couldn't figure
looked
it out.
more Aurangzebi, if that's a word. He actually looked more regal after he took the crown off.
So
That was
Maybe
I think
because
so.
then he can show his expressions more.
I think
don't
so.
know.
Like he was more like in a casual sense.
Yeah.
Like you don't imagine Aurangzeb in a casual sense. So I think that's when it made it kind of interesting.
And
But I
when-
think he did that.
Yeah.
So we were just talking about that his makeup and his getup looked like some kind of a stage play. You know what else looked like kind of a stage setting? The whole sets of the movie.
Oh, yeah, the
The
everything.
whole sets of the movie were like, you know what it looked like to me? They were doing all the acting in front of green screens, and then they added the sets behind them, and because they looked so fake, and the dimensionality of the movie, that wasn't quite right. So it seemed like the stage, the scenes, the characters were standing in front of these big large sets, but the size of the characters versus the size of the set didn't make sense to
that's
me.
true. Yeah.
It just, that's why I said it looked like what you would see like Mahabharat 30 years
Like
ago,
an
or
epic.
Ramayana. Like even their sets looked like sets because they weren't using AI or green screens. But there was something not quite right.
Well,
his castle was like an Austrian castle. Like every time they would show you that same shot from the outside of this castle on a hill, it did not look like a castle that was from India, a fort in India. It looked like something out of Austria.
Was not quite aligned.
It did not align for me.
I was going to say the big problem with the movie was there was no climax. So the movie started and it just kind of stayed at the same level. So usually, it builds up. Even in like Saiyara, okay, there was some sort of a climax that came. There was no climax. It was just, we were just living on the climax the entire time.
You know what?
Like every scene was an emergency. Every scene was an urgency. There was no downtime where you kind of go, okay, let me take a break and
then
see
it
what
builds
else
up
is going
again.
on. Yeah, it builds.
So
Nothing like that.
When you have good choreography, if you're talking about a dance, right? And they always say you don't need to be at the top level of your dancing ability the whole time. So if there's a team that you're watching and they're dancing at level 10 the whole time, you're not going to enjoy that dance. We need level 5, we need level 1, then 10, then 5, 1. We need these ups and downs in order to appreciate. They say that in order to appreciate any story or anything, even appreciate life, you need contrast. And contrast is really important to a storyline. And what you're saying and what you were missing in this story and in this whole the contrast. There was no contrast.
See, I thought there was a contrast because for me, whenever I watched it, whenever I stopped forwarding stuff, it was he's having a conversation with his wife, then he goes to war. He has a conversation with his wife. He goes to war. He has a conversation with his wife. He goes to war. Like this repeated like 10 times.
Yeah.
And those were supposed to be the highs and lows. The problem is the war was always the same. The conversation was always the same.
The theme was always the same.
Very predictable. And I was like, I know what they're going to say. Like, okay, Cardo.
Well, we already knew when he was talking to his wife, then it's going to be war. Like, we just knew that whole thing. So it was the pattern was so set. There was that's why it felt like it was at the same level throughout. Like, the climax was always there.
Well, they took that thing, what you said, like his wife is supposed to be a consultant for them, right? So they would consult with her. They took it literally. They're like, every time, always the wife, always the conversation, then the war, then the wife, then the war, then the... Oh my God, like, can you guys stop? Even their outfits never, like there was never time when he was just wearing a simple dhoti.
Because
there was one,
he was sleeping when they attacked and he was in his pajamas. His regal
but it
pajamas.
felt like if he could have been like, I'm back home, let's go and have a little vacation, we're by this beautiful garden and we're
singing, Hindi movie.
Like we're doing something other than just preparing for war and dressed up like we're going to war.
I miss that in these movies. I miss the escape part of it. Like back in the day, like when the song came, you escaped from the story a little bit.
Yeah.
You got a chance to break from that misery of reality and then just go off into like, the Caribbeans and whatever. It was a nice break.
Switzerland.
Yeah. Now there's no escape.
I wonder if they're trying to be this is their way of going like, trying to say like, no, we are not going to make it like just them running around trees singing a song. We're going to make it something different. But they're forgetting that Indian audience, they're going to the movies for an escape and they want that stuff. That is one unique thing about Bollywood movies is the music that you come out in your head with and the images of the songs and dances and all of that. That becomes part of like your life.
And that's
kids perform to those songs, etc. There's nothing like that. So
that's not even the Indian audience. That's every audience that watches Desi movies was for that.
Right. That's why you're watching the Desi movie.
that was the formula. They wanted that. Everybody who watched Desi movies, they came for that. Like, okay, when's the big dance?
I want to know Bole Churiyan Bole. Like, where is that song in this movie? I want a Bole Churiyan Bole Kangana in Chaava.
Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. When you're showing someone as a king, as a leader, as a king, right? They have entertainment. They will have entertainment. They will have someone playing classical music. They'll have people dancing. You don't even, if you're showing him so like proper, you can have someone doing classical dance. It doesn't need to be chamak tamak. It can be, was there?
I think there was one little scene, but it get disrupted by somebody.
War?
So I was like, oh my gosh.
Was that Aurangzeb or was that him?
I don't remember.
It wasn't because they're
I don't
showing
even
him
remember.
this perfect person, so
Yeah.
there can't be a girl dancing.
No.
But it could have been a religious song. It could have been a puja song. I mean, give us something. Give us some music.
Like Jodha Akbar had nice
yeah.
music.
I think this is the problem with like sometimes when they're trying so hard for realism in these films that they forget we need entertainment too. Like we don't just need people fighting and misery and blood gushing out. We don't need like in Saiyara, like just crying and sadness.
Saiyara.
Like give Saiyara.
You just said Saiyara.
I don't know. I give up. I give up. Whatever that is. And we want to come to the movies for some entertainment, some joy in it too. Even in a sad story, there
Yeah.
could be some joy in it too.
But
exactly
there
what I
was
saying.
no realism either. Like if you're saying they did it for real, it wasn't. That's why this movie is like there was no
I don't know what to
reality
make
and
of
there
it.
was no entertainment. So I don't know. I just
Yeah.
see a guy getting beaten up really bad, after, like scene after scene.
You know, like I was going back to one of the classical movies of Hollywood, Butch Cassidy and the
Sundance Kid.
Sundance Kid. There's a scene in there because the movie has a lot of like that fighting, gunfighting, right? But there's a scene in there where one of the guys goes to this girl and he's riding. He has a bicycle or she has a bicycle, and they're riding around in this garden and singing in the bicycle. The best scene because it gives you such a break from this machoism, from fighting, and even Hollywood put a song in there. Okay, so when you have extreme like Sholay, let's talk about Sholay. Sholay is a very sort of violent movie, very male macho movie, revenge, all that. But guess what? There's a little bit of comedy in there. There's romance in there. There's feelings in there. There's sadness and happiness in there, right? Just because the village gets attacked by these guys, these bad guys, and everybody, like a lot of people get killed all the time, they're still celebrating Holi because that's how real people are. We are not, human beings need to smile, and they do smile at the oddest times. Go to war zone, and the guys are joking with each other.
Yeah,
you know, there's fighting going on, but they're cracking jokes. That's real, actually.
But I'm just
that's how
wondering
humans are.
if what we're comparing it to, like Sholay and other genre that we really enjoy, that maybe that is a different genre. Maybe this is this like a genre from other parts of India that are becoming more, you
Like
know,
South movies?
like
South movies sometimes
maybe.
then.
Yeah. I wonder if it's more coming from that influence and it's just into a Hindi version of it. And maybe we're not quite
Appreciate
relating to
it.
it.
I mean, maybe
We're
we're
not
the
relating to
exception.
it.
They did 800 crore, which I guess is like $80 million.
So obviously people
which is
like
very
it,
good for
but-
an Indian film.
But we have to be honest to our taste. Like I get that we are not every opinion. We're not everybody. But we are three people who watch these movies and have our opinion. And somehow our opinions kind of match, which is too bad. I was really hoping that one of us would really like Chaava and be like, you guys are crazy.
No, I could predict you guys were
you
not
wouldn't
going to like
I
it.
knew
I knew it would be
Saiyara.
like pulling teeth.
And I want to like say to our audience that we did not discuss this
No,
before.
no.
We wanted fresh opinions of each other, and we wanted to be surprised.
I wanted
by
to
each
share,
other's
but I
opinions.
didn't. I
I
held
really
back.
wanted
I'm
to
like,
share. I wanted to say, "Don't watch
Yeah.
Saiyara."
Normally we would. Normally we would. It was really
And I
hard to
would
like
say,
stay
don't
away
watch
from that
Chaava either.
conversation.
I would have said,
Stay
don't
away
watch
from
Chaava either. I do want to read that book, though, Lions Club, which is Chaava is, it's a book.
The meaning of Chaava is a
Lions Cub, not club.
Lions-
Sorry,
oh,
Lions
Cub.
Club.
Okay.
Yeah, Chaava.
Okay.
And so it's obviously inspired by that novel. So I do want to read the novel. Maybe novel might do justice to the character.
You never know. Sometimes written word can be more powerful.
That is true. Which brings us to our top grossing film so far, still in the theaters, still making a lot of money, which is Dhurandhar.
Dhurandhar.
Like a
Can I just say,
Dhurandhar.
like,
Dhurandhar.
I know there's always this trend, okay? Remember back in the day, it was like, it had to be like a sentence, like the title of the film, "Ab lort chale,
kaun-
kuch
Hum
kuch
aapke hain
hota
kaun?"
hai." Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Dil
Kabhi
Wale
Khushi Kabhi
Dulhaniya
Gum,
Le
right?
Jayenge, yeah.
So now the trend is they go into like the sort of rabbit hole of vocabulary and find a word that nobody's ever heard of, and you have to figure out like how the heck do I pronounce all three of these?
We
We've
don't know.
mispronounced.
Yeah, because
All
we don't
three
know
of
what these words mean. Yeah.
So they should probably
Tell us the meaning.
start the movie by telling us what the meaning is and how to pronounce
And
it.
use it in a sentence so we
Yeah.
know
Use
how
it
the
in-
yeah.
contextual clues. There.
So Dhurandhar, that brings us to our top grossing 1,000 crore, which is like over 100 million, which a lot of the Hollywood films aren't even doing right now. So it's going, and it is very long, 3 hours and 40 minutes. But I believe by the time, if I remember correctly, I think it was like 4 hours for
It
sure.
felt like 4
Like
hours.
4 hours.
It felt it might have been 3 hours, but for me it felt like definitely 5 hours.
Did you guys look at the time when you were watching it? Because I did.
Yeah, I was in
Yeah,
the theater.
Yeah,
So
I was like 2 hours, 3 hours. Okay, ek ghanta bach gaya. I'm tired. I want to go home.
In all reality, in India, the movies have that interval, and in the U.S., there's no concept of interval.
well, it did come up on the screen.
But
It
they
said
don't-
interval, but they didn't give the
They-
interval.
they
It
don't
just
give
move on.
They don't
Yeah.
give interval. That's just how it
Yeah.
is in the theater here. So to sit through almost 4 hours without taking a break, like bathroom break or going and getting another drink or a little bit more snack or whatever, that was hard. So you felt it. You felt like that discomfort of like just sitting somewhere for 4 hours. It's 4 hours. By the time you sit and you watch the previews and the movie starts
yeah.
and ends, it's 4 hours
It's 4
of sitting
hours.
there. Yeah.
I think what made it bearable for me was we were in a theater where you could have dine-in,
Yeah.
dine-in theater. So me and, my husband, we had plenty of food. So we were just busy eating.
It was date night.
It was like date night,
Date
but very
night with a
violent
side
date
of-
night, if I can start
side of
talking about the
blood.
movie.
Yeah.
It was like violent scenery. There was nothing romantic about this date. Can I just say I hated the movie?
Okay, you can say
I hated
that.
this movie because for various reasons, but I felt that the movie, as an audience, well, let me just say something nice first about the movie, and that is fine. There were a lot of characters. I was, that part it was rich with characters. It wasn't necessarily like one hero and one heroine. It's a lot of characters. I liked the way they dressed up Ranveer Singh, for his character. To me, that was well done. And I think he played his part well. And I think Akshay Khanna played his part well. And I think Arjun Rampal played his part well. And I think Sanjay Dutt played his part well. When Sanjay Dutt came, I was like, yay, Sanjay Dutt is here because he's one of my favorites.
You
But it
used
was
to have
very-
a big crush on
I
him.
have a big crush on
You
Sanjay
did?
Dutt.
Yeah,
I did.
growing.
Rocky Mera Naam, Rocky Mera
That was
Naam.
yeah.
I
so-
can see. I mean, he was
Yeah.
handsome.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah.
He's, and so, and I think he had so many challenges. So I kind of feel also as a human being, I think he
Like a
needs
compassion.
he needs some compassion. Okay, so. But what I didn't like was, despite all these characters and despite the complex story they tried to build, I think there were multiple points of views in the story too. When you have that many characters, you can have multiple points of views that you're trying to depict. And I felt like certain points of views were overemphasized, certain points of views were underemphasized. And you know how they say, like, history is whoever is writing the history, right? So I felt like because they have this big budget to make this movie, I felt I couldn't support the movie wholeheartedly, partly because of extreme violence that was unnecessary, and partly because I think it makes certain group of people look like they're only bad and nothing good about them. Okay, and the other side is all good and nothing bad about them. So when you have these kind of polar views about groups,
like black and white.
it's just so like, how can be human beings, we're not all bad or all good. And if you're trying to show one group of people all bad and one group of people all good, to me, that's a very immature concept to begin with. And so I felt like it was injustice toward a group of people. the way they made this movie. Yeah.
What do you think?
So it's interesting. So I'll first say that yes, I agree. Character development in this movie was amazing because even the guys that you don't like, let's say the bad guys, you end up you like the fact that they are still human and they're showing them as human even though they're horrible. The violence, the glorified violence was unnecessary.
Unnecessary.
It's totally unnecessary. It's like, why are you showing people's heads being blown off? And I get war has that when it probably happens more often than we like to realize. But I don't need to see that in a movie. A trained storyteller can tell you something without going deep into it. Okay, without telling you that somebody's head blew off in 10 different pieces and this is what it looked like. If I'm reading a story, let's say instead of watching the movie, I was reading a story, I would not see any writer writing that detailed description because it's unnecessary.
I think somebody's very sick to show that.
Yeah, I think there was someone very sick to do that. Secondly, commenting on Ranveer Singh's outfit, it was... there was something strange about his outfit from the beginning. I couldn't put finger on it. And then I realized, because I was like reading some comments and somebody was mentioning outfit and they said, you would never see a short sleeve outfit like that anywhere in Pakistan. Any of the salwar kurta type of outfits that their men wear are always long sleeve. They are never short sleeve. You would never see it. And then not only that, they had his outfit tapered. Okay, I thought it looked funky. Okay, I thought his outfit did injustice because he's a nice looking guy. He could look very handsome in a male outfit that's built and tailored to a male's physique rather than trying to make him almost like feminizing him. Okay. Secondly, his hairstyle seemed overdone to me. Like it seemed like somebody went with the curling iron.
They put extra hair on him. They put a weave on him, and he had extra hair, especially the time when he meets the girl for the first time in that scene. He's wearing the sexy kurta pajama.
Yeah,
he's got big hair. Hair is so like a lion's mane. It was overkill.
You could have birds living in there.
It was so overkill. It was so big, and you could see the extensions. It's just bad.
So my problem with a spy is supposed to blend in. As a spy, if I was going to Pakistan as a spy as a man, I would not wear the sexy kurta pajama with short sleeve that everyone's going to be like, look at his kurta pajama.
And cleavage, by the way. And cleavage.
And cleavage and tapered sides, to show. Okay, that's a very... word to the wise, okay? A figure like that, figure 8 type of a physique is a very feminine physique. You don't need to show that in a man. You don't need to force that for a man. A figure V is more like a man's physique, okay? Whoever came up with that, please take my word for it. I was very uncomfortable with it. He did not look good to me. And I think he's a very handsome guy. But looking at him, I'm like, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with him? I kept thinking, what's wrong with him? It was that outfit. And going with outfits, again, the girl that he was sort of courting, this Pakistani girl, the dress she was wearing.
I'm like, is that allowed in
No,
Pakistan?
it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And we know that just from just watching Pakistani plays and how they talk about things and having friends. I mean, we here in the US have Pakistani friends, so I've talked to them many times. That kind of outfit in Pakistan doesn't work. It was a very low neckline and then basically no sleeves and very short dress. That's fine. Let's say you show someone as a revolting against her father or whatever. You can show that at a club. Let's say you're showing some club that we wouldn't even know about. Maybe there's an underground club. But she walks into her house wearing that, which, like, when you walk in, you're going to see your chonkidar, your maid, your parents. Why wouldn't you put, if they'd just shown her, like, literally grab, like, a big old jacket and just throw that on, I would have been pacified because that's her choice. But the outfit was ridiculous. Okay. And then another problem I had with the movie. Am I just okay?
I'm listening. Go on.
Okay.
This is interesting. Go on.
Ranveer Singh's character. They say that his character is kind of loosely based on character of someone called Mohit Sharma, who apparently was a spy. I could never figure out his whole story, but he was apparently a spy, and they said it's loosely based on his character. Okay, fine, I'll believe you. Maybe it is. But why would you take that character and call him trying to think
Something saying
so this
that-
just Kirat Singh Rangi.
Yeah.
Rangi.
Very
Okay.
Sardar
Okay.
name.
So just 1 second though. That character, you take population that's less than 2% of India, and you make your main character, who's supposed to be this bad guy who's forced into this, a Sikh person, okay? Person of Sikh background, whether he is following the religion or not, is regardless. You decided that that main character is gonna be taken from 2% of the Indian population, a group that only represents 2% of the Indian population. Why? Why would you do that? What's the real reason for
So
that?
this director,
Questioning it.
So this director made a movie in 2019 called Uri or Uri, and in that, so this is a reference to one of the characters in that movie. It's not based on this Major Mohit Sharma.
Okay.
It's not based on it. For some reason, there is this sort of, I know talk on social media that maybe that's him. Maybe kind of the looks wise, but he was in Jammu Kashmir. He never did Pakistan. And in regard to this person who he's supposed to be, apparently it's taken from an older movie who this director also directed, and he's trying to tie the two movies together. All of these guys are trying to do these trilogies
Like
and
part
stuff
one,
like
part
that.
two,
Yeah,
part three.
can they just stop? And also, like this movie, just make the movie, stop doing chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, bullets and roses. I mean, it's so cheesy. The story could have been fine. Don't do because it breaks your sort of attention. It's unnecessary.
No, I was okay with the chapter part because I was like, okay, maybe next chapter would be better. It helped me recover from the previous chapter.
No, I honestly, I felt that it was unnecessary. I thought the movie was good. I thought it had some propaganda that was very on the nose, which was unnecessary. It kind of took away from the entertainment of the film. I'm just going to say for the entertainment, Akshay Khanna was spectacular, like
didn't
amazing
care
to
about-
watch. I actually enjoyed watching him because I enjoyed his acting. Like I enjoyed, like
He's a great
finally,
actor.
after watching
Yeah.
Saiyara, after watching Chaava, here's a guy who's just, he's enjoying being this character.
He was in there.
And he was having fun. He was relishing. And we relished with him, with this character. And that's what made it so interesting. The little subtle expressions that he does, his little chin move that
But
he
I
does.
think I think I
And-
found that artificial. Like
But
to me,
that-
that was just acting. It's not real.
Okay.
Well,
but-
nothing is real. It's a
Yeah.
it's a film at the end of the day. But is it entertaining? And it was entertaining for me to watch him. Out of all the actors, Ranveer Singh, surprisingly to me, he had the look in certain parts, especially right in the beginning when they show him getting on the helicopter. He's coming into like Pakistan at the moment as a spy. That was a great look. He looks scruffy. He looks like, he's been through it. But yes, when he becomes like, part of the crew, people would make fun of him if they saw somebody like that in the streets. But reading up on these people of Liari.
Liari.
A lot of them were kind of, they're very fond of this Rahman Baloch. They're very fond of him. They felt like he protected them. They felt that he took care of the neighborhood. But they also highlighted that there was violence at that time. So when they show that violence, they do mention, like when there have been a lot of interviews with people of that neighborhood who were living around that time, they do say that, unke body parts were scattered in the streets. Like it was just gory at that time. And so, again, the violence, that's a Hollywood thing. There's going to be a
this
lot
movie,
of violence.
I don't know if I ever saw a Hollywood movie.
I have.
that
If you watch Narcos, shows like Narcos, we watch, my husband and I watch a show called Mayor of Kingstown. There's a lot of violence in those shows. Brains like the people's heads getting squished and things like that. These guys just got a little bit more elaborate, but they were just trying to do Hollywood, and you do see that in Hollywood. Like they do get elaborate.
And I
with
still
all
don't
these
agree.
shows.
Whether
I
it's
don't agree.
Bollywood,
Look,
yeah.
it's our taste.
It's a cheap way. I'm sorry. It's a cheap way to it's like creating that shock value and to say and I do question. I do question people who enjoy watching.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing.
I think
I
there's
don't
something
enjoy it.
mentally.
I don't enjoy
depraved.
it. But what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
it does happen. And if I don't enjoy it, that doesn't mean that nobody else gets to see it. People can look away or people can decide they don't want to watch this movie, right? So everybody has a choice. You don't have to watch it. But this is how the director wanted to show the extreme violence. Fine, they did. But I looked away for the most part of that
Yeah.
film because I don't want to see it. I just wanted to see the story, which I found fascinating. And I think what a lot of people found fascinating was I heard a lot of Pakistanis say, finally, there's a story about what was going on in the streets, because a lot of the Pakistani movies or Pakistani dramas, they're not covering this reality that was there. Now, I'm not saying that was 100% reality, but that they were going through it and they want those stories being told on the main screen, and they feel like a lot of the Pakistani industry shies away from talking about these real sort of topics.
So I think, first of all, I think Akshay Khanna's character did not look good to me. He did a good job, but whoever tried to dress him up like that and all that, it looked too forced on Akshay Khanna. And I could not relate. I couldn't like his character, not because of who he was in the movie, but I didn't like the acting part. It was very much like they were trying to make him into something that he didn't look like. That was my trouble with it. Ranveer Singh, he was more closer to what they wanted him to look like. I think he played the part well. But like you could see the emotions of somebody who's torn between, he wants to react, but he can't, especially like when they showed the Mumbai attacks. So I could see that part, and I could see the anger and how he's trying to control that anger. Akshay Khanna to me was this playful character more than this evil, horrible person. I didn't relate to him at all. And but I really liked Arjun Rampal. I think he looked the part really well. Because he didn't even look like Arjun Rampal. If you didn't know he was in the story, it was hard to tell he was in the story.
Yeah, it took me a minute to recognize him. Yeah.
Sanjay Dutt looked like Sanjay Dutt.
Sanjay
His
Dutt
normal
looked great.
Sanjay Dutt, right?
But he did well. Sanjay
He
Dutt
did well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you give him a little part, he's going to play it well,
Yeah.
right? But overall, I think the movie did not need to be this violent. I think that was too graphic. And I think these movies are dangerous for our society because what happens is these are like whispers, dog whispers, right? Somebody crazy out there is going to take that idea and say, I'm going to do it too. And I think that's where these movies are dangerous for our society, because people get ideas and then they want to play these ideas. They want to act these ideas. So I feel like I'm surprised that the censor board actually approved the way it was, because I think it's very irresponsible to release a movie like this.
I agree.
But
I agree.
I think it's for the audience to decide. I do
no,
think that
but
it
like
was too
India-
hold on. I do think that it was too much for me to watch, but everybody is watching these Hollywood films. They're out there, and these guys, if you look at it just from a business perspective, they're just trying to make it as grotesque.
But that
as
doesn't mean
there
it's
is an audience
responsible.
for.
But wait a
Yeah.
minute. What I would say is, I agree with you. It's for the audience to decide.
Yeah.
With that said, that's not how Indian censor board works.
Yeah.
They don't let the audience decide. Usually they review the movie
review.
and they will not let some of these movies release. For example, Jaswant Singh
Jaswant
Kalra,
Singh
that
Kalra's
movie is
right.
still stuck with censor board.
Yes.
And here we are, we're making all these make-believe heroes.
Yeah.
We got this guy who's like supposedly a spy going into Pakistan. Everyone says it's a fictional character, right? And then you've got Chaava, which is over-exaggerated character, okay, in the movie, okay? I'm not saying in real life, I'm saying in the movie. We've seen movies like War 2 and other movies where they've got these almost like superhero type of characters who are pretending to be these like macho guys.
Can I just say regarding Dhurandhar,
Dhurandhar.
and Chaava and Saiyara, consistently
Saiyara.
what we saw were these female characters diminished presence
There was
completely.
no female
There was
It
no
wasn't
female
even like, oh, at least in the old days you saw them in the songs or you saw them like they had some significance there. There's no space for them. If they weren't there, you wouldn't miss them.
Is it because the songs are gone? Because what you used to see in the older movies is you would see the need for a female character because they needed the songs, right? So they would put a little romance in there. I personally think no story can be told, no human story can be told effectively without an element of romance. Because that's what we are, human beings. We our next generation's there because there is romance, So we can't completely take away the women. But what's happening with these movies now is there's no need for songs, there's no need for music. So hence there's no need for females in the movies. So that's very sad to see.
So they only see females as just
Yeah.
the need for romance and music, and that's it. There was music and there were females, but it was only shown as like, okay, here she is dancing at a club, or here she is dancing. It's just like those kinds of roles, and
their
that's the part
characters-
that's really the part that in Dhurandhar that were female. And, that one little scene where they go on a motorcycle, where he pretends the fuel's over and they walk. That was nice. Like, thank you. Can you add more scenes like that?
It
where
gives you relief,
It gives
right?
you that, you can relax back and you're like, okay, I'll just have my popcorn while they're talking, right? But there weren't too many moments like that.
Even Rahman Dakat, with the scenes with his wife, they, even though they were during like very tense times, like once is his son, and then one is during like almost like right at the start or right before a very violent scene. But those scenes just they just relax
Humanized him.
you. They humanize the person. They help to humanize the main
And he
character.
was nice he was so respectful to his wife.
Yeah.
I really liked that. And she was kind of like the queen of her house.
Yeah.
The way I liked that character very much.
Yeah, very much.
But yeah, it's the unfortunate part is that there's very little space for female characters. And this is also what I don't want to see. I don't want to see here's a movie for women and it's going to have the woman character. And here's but all of the rest of them are about men. And so in real life, it's hand in hand. Like you're going to have the woman there. They are going to participate in conversations. If you live in a household, there will be a sister, a wife, a daughter, whatever it is. Even if the main character is a guy, there's going to be some entanglements. There's you cannot have a story without a female character. But they like even in Saiyara, where it's supposed to be a romance film, her character is just the weakest character that is there, barely present. If she had very few words to say. She had very little importance in that film in moving that story forward.
Well, they made her disappear for a while too.
Yeah, they made her well, that was convenient. Might as well. It's like good.
The funny thing is, I just wanted to comment on the music of Saiyara because there's a lot of expectation of the music to be good because the main character is a singer. So what I notice is that I wasn't getting into the music. I wasn't even remembering what the songs were. And I was testing myself to see if I remembered the last song, and I didn't. The only time the song stayed in my mind was right at the conclusion, right at the very end scene when they're, again, I don't want to give the movie away, but right at the very end scene. And that's when the music started, but they were like, instruments like tolak and like more classical instruments, and that's when the music stayed in my mind.
Dhurandhar, Chaava, and Saiyara.
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 And so are we ready to figure out which movie, what samosa each one gets? Because they're all getting samosas, right?
They are getting
all getting
samosas.
samosas.
But not the same degree of samosa.
And we
Same
have the
quality
three
of samosa.
Same
three
quality.
qualities of samosas. Which one is the first one? The top one.
Your mom just cooked it. Your mom just fried it.
Your mom just fried it. Your mom just fried
So
it.
the top film is gonna get your mom just fried it samosa.
And the second one is, it's from last week. It's from last week. It's leftover. It's been sitting in the fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the third one,
Smells kind of funny.
smells kind of funny.
I would even say smells kind of funky.
Smells kind of, do you want to start with, which one do you think is like smells kind of funny?
Dhurandhar to me smells kind of funny.
I would say Chaava.
I would say Chaava.
Chaava.
Chaava
Chaava, you are going to get our funky looking samosa. It's the one that's deformed right here. This is what Chaava gets.
Oh, poor Chaava.
Yeah. Chaava is getting the
Deformed
smells kind
samosa?
of funny samosa that's also deformed.
Okay.
Okay.
And for me, that samosa goes to Dhurandhar.
Dhurandhar.
Okay.
So we're going to disagree on this one. Go ahead.
Agree to disagree. The next one. So leftover
From last week.
from last week. Which one is that going to be?
Saiyara.
Saiyara tune. Something. That's all I remember. That's all I remember.
I think for me would be Saiyara.
Saiyara.
Saiyara. Okay, so we all agree on
We all agree
Saiyara.
on the
agree.
leftover from last week.
Okay.
Yes.
That's Saiyara. And so your mama just fried it is going to be, for me, it's Dhurandhar. Dhurandhar.
Chaava.
You're kidding.
You're kidding with Dhurandhar.
You're kidding.
Mine is better.
Okay.
Well, you can have your
Because Dhurandhar
opinions.
to me, well, we already discussed why, right? What parts we like, what parts we don't like. But because I'm so different, my rating here is so different from the two of you. It's partly because I think for society, Dhurandhar is not a responsible movie. So I'm going with Chaava. At least it tells about somebody, some character that I didn't know about before. Okay.
Okay.
Sparked some interest.
So,
So there you go. So
there
we've
you
got
go.
our samosas. Now we are going to feast on them.
Wait.
Are we ready?
Who gets?
No, we
Look,
need
I
to
freaking
hold-
want the samosa. So
Who gets the samosa for? Your mom just fried it.
That
is
was
the one.
Dhurandhar.
That's for
Okay.
you
Your
guys.
mom
it's
just fried it.
Dhurandhar.
Did we all? Oh no! But who gets the samosa for? Smells kind of funky.
That was
Chaava.
Chaava.
Chaava, and for
Chaava.
me, it was Dhurandhar. Smells
Okay.
kind of funky.
Okay.
Yeah, funny.
Okay.
So those are our Pretend Samosa awards.
But I think we should hold the one that, let's say final word. Like I'm going to hold my samosa and I'm going to say the final word, like
Who am
why
I
I
giving it
think
to?
Chaava
Please
is.
have a moment
yes.
with your samosa.
I'm
please.
going-
Yeah,
Yes.
please.
And we'll try we'll do the chutney later because it'll be really messy if I try to do the chutney now.
Okay.
Chaava people, I'm giving you, your mom just fried it, samosa. It's sizzling hot because comparatively to Dhurandhar and Saiyara, I think I'm favoring your movie. Although I think from now on, you heard our critique, you can do a better job. But as of now, you get this samosa.
Do you want to do a samosa moment?
Yes, I
have
do.
a moment.
And I'll pick a nice one. I'll pick this one.
All right.
I'm gonna give this. Your mom just fried his samosa to Dhurandhar. Good job with character development. Definitely needs improvement, but out of the three movies, Dhurandhar is the one that I could watch again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have a moment too. Here's my samosa. Upma already took the nice one, so I'm getting the
can have
second
this
nice one.
You can just pick up the one I have.
But Dhurandhar, you get, your mama just freshly fried it, samosa, because it was at the end of the day very entertaining. It may not have been perfect. What movie is? There's always going to be things that you like, you don't like about everything. But it had a lot of people talking. It started a lot of conversations, got a lot of people thinking. So good job on that. And let's see. What movie are we going to watch for next year?
Well, I watched War 2, so watch War 2 if you haven't watched it.
I did.
And that one is a little better than Chaava. Like War 2, I would have given
okay.
Your mama just fried it samosa.
Huh.
Ritik
Okay.
Roshan, my favorite, is in there.
He is amazing. Well, these conversations are going to continue
Yes.
on, right?
Well, thank you for attending our award show.
And Happy New Year.
Oh,
Happy New Year.
Yes, happy New Year, happy 2026.
Cheers
Let's
with my
hope for
samosa.
let's hope for a great set of movies to watch next year.
Yes.
So we
Some
can do this again.
female-oriented films too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.